Hi, everybody. I am here with Mee Hee Smith. She is the Regional Director of Work-Based Learning of Indiana's Office of Work-Based Learning and Apprenticeship. Previously, she spent 10 years in secondary education as a teacher, instructional coach, and CTE director. In her positions in education, Ms. Smith was responsible for increasing the number of dual credit courses offered, creating 2 CNA programs, and executed targeted instructional plans to increase state assessment attainment. She is responsible for launching the career academies in the Indianapolis Public Schools, focusing on health sciences and education, where she created work-based learning programs with industry partners to support K-12 education. Prior to her career in education, Ms. Smith worked as a perfusionist operating a heart-lung machine during open heart procedures with the Detroit Medical Center. She is a member of ACTE and serves on healthcare advisory boards in Indianapolis. Mee Hee holds degrees from the University of Illinois at Chicago, Midwestern University, Glendale, and Marian University. Welcome to our Candid Career Chat today.
Thank you for having me.
So I want to start by asking you to describe how you're feeling in one word in this moment, in this new world for us.
I would say one word would be flexible.
Okay. Great. So I have hopeful, flexible so far. Both good and encouraging. So can you walk us through your career journey from where you thought you wanted to be when you were younger until your position that you're in now?
Yeah, I think growing up, I had this idea of going into the medical field, something related into healthcare. That was always kind of my goal, even in high school. And interesting enough, that was my first career. So I did the traditional pathway of education, was a biology major in college, went straight to my graduate program and earned my master's degree in cardiovascular sciences, which was part of a perfusion education program. And so I practiced as a perfusionist. That's my first career. So I got there in the pathway I did. How I ended up here at the Department of Workforce Development is interesting. I always had a passion to teach and educate. And as I worked as a perfusionist, I somewhat felt unfulfilled. And if from a career switcher mindset, a lot of people understand that, some people don't. But I decided to go back to teach. And so I moved here to Indianapolis to start a teaching fellows program. And for 10 years, I worked as a middle school science teacher, middle school math teacher, worked as a remedial high school math instructor. And that's when I started also teaching Ivy Tech dual credit courses in health sciences. So I kind of married my first career into my education career. And about a year ago, an opportunity came up to join the Department of Workforce Development in their Office of Work-Based Learning and Apprenticeship. And I've really enjoyed kind of where my career journey has taken me and into this position. And it's been great to utilize kind of all of my education, all of my experiences, and into this role that I'm currently in.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you do currently in that work-based learning role?
Sure. I'm a regional director. I mainly work in Marian County and all the surrounding donut counties, but I work with K-12 and adult populations. We work on designing a program called the State Earn and Learn, and we focus in on building out kind of a program that has related instruction. If in the youth side, it can be a part of the Career and Tech Ed program at the K-12 Career Center High School. We stack in college credits, whether that's dual credit, dual enrollment, or even on a certification basis. We try to stack certifications that the industry and employers value. And we build out kind of a program that a student, youth, or adult can start in, but build incrementally as they work and learn together and achieve some outcomes so that the employer has a better skilled individual into a particular position, but also then can move up in their different roles within the company.
Great work. Thank you very much. My second question is, what advice would you give to your college self? So if you could go back to that younger version of you, however long ago that was, what kind of a pep talk would you give yourself?
Gosh, I want to say it wasn't that long ago. That might be lying though. But gosh, the pep talk I probably would give would be open to building a network. I realize now, so many years out, that things have changed so much from when I was in college in some of the practical elements of making yourself more marketable. And I realize now with a lot of social media platforms that you really have to try to engage with others in a field that you're interested in. I just found that was what I would tell myself, just be open in meeting people and developing new connections and new networks, because you just never know when you'll need them again. It may not even be in a related field, but people are connected to others that can get you to where you need or more advice. So that's what I would probably say. Be open to continue to network.
That's perfect advice. And I think hopefully that's the advice that all career development professionals are giving to their students as well. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
The third question is, what do you wish you would have known in regards to career planning and preparation?
Oh gosh, I think I wish I would have known that there's a lot of different pathways to get into a career. There's not one silver bullet. There's not one pathway, that leads. There's really multiple pathways. I didn't know that. And I had to kind of learn that on my own. So now there's a lot of different tools, a lot of uh, career finding tools, a lot of support out from a lot of different entities. I'll still say sometimes it's disjointed. It's hard to find all that information, but connecting, I think, to the right people, whether that's your local, college campus, there's always a Department of Workforce Development, there's economic councils and different boards that help support chambers of commerce. So I think, I wish I would have known that there's just a lot of different avenues and there's a lot of different information to get to different career pathways or alternative pathways. So I definitely wish that would have been, something I would have known.
Great. So question number 4 is, if students or adult learners, really anybody, could do one thing now that will benefit their career, what should it be?
Wow, I would say employers are always looking for the right skills. And I think what's not as emphasized is the true employability skills. Um, Having that and those concrete skills, and it is, part of it is coming to work on time, but, being able to communicate with a lot of different people, people who you will work with, everyone from the top CEO to your peers to, environmental services that every employee, may have, to be able to communicate with them respectfully, as a colleague, just all those different types of employability skills. I feel like for anyone to have looking for any work experience, if you can really hone in on what those are and how to develop them individually, I think that will always translate into any position you go into, because that's what can sell you as an individual and really landing a second interview, potentially a position, is how you're handling and navigating yourself, articulating through words, even in your resume, how it looks, how it's written, how you can really come across in multiple ways. So I think that's just a crucial skill. When I talk to employers, they're always saying, we need skilled people. When we break down those skills, some of those are technical, yes, and those can be learned on the job, but so oftentimes we hear them saying it's those critical employability skills. I need them to be able to talk to somebody without me doing it for them and to take initiative. So I would say those would be just really critical that would translate into any student, any learner.
Mm-hmm. That's great, because I also am doing these career shorts, like career development pieces and information sessions. And one of mine is in the future is going to be on employability skills. And how do you start to recognize those in yourself? How do you start to build those? How do you work with those? Because I too oftentimes hear all the time, like, I can teach you these technical skills, but I can't if you don't know how to communicate and you don't know how to take criticism and those types of things. So I appreciate that answer. The fifth question is, do you have any additional networking or job searching strategies that you've used in the past, or that you tell and speak with people about, that might help somebody entering the workforce?
Yeah, I would say, there's so many different ways to help support that. And I'll even say myself, I've seen the waves of how finding a job looks so different. Um, People who have kind of been in a career field, they almost don't know what to do or where to start. There are, resources at every Work One. Indianapolis has a Work One Indy, and it's operated and managed by our local workforce board, Employ Indy, specifically in Marian County. And every county has a resource like this, and they are the ones that are very employer facing. So when employers have positions or anticipate positions, they tend to go to their local workforce board and say, can you find, individuals? And they help with just a myriad of services beyond just finding an employer, but they can help match some of the skills, those employability skills, with the technical skills, and help create that resume. They have databases that, collect all of these open positions based upon the skills an individual might have, and they really help kind of weed out some of that you might have to do one-on-one. My husband has been in the engineering field for a long time, and a couple of years ago he found himself laid off. They had downsized their department, and he had not looked for a job since 2005. And so I was kind of laying back, not saying anything, this is my work, and just giving him, some grace. And I started to really notice some patterns of how he was looking for a position. And he was going through individual Google searches, websites, and going to that company one by one. And I found that, I kind of said, isn't that time consuming? And he said, yeah. And so what the local workforce board is, they have, search engines that collect into kind of one. And they are able to then take some of those resumes as they're working with individuals and almost fast track an individual to that employer. If you can imagine, each employer, depending on the positions, that they might get a lot of resumes. How do they have that time or capacity to really sort through the best candidates? Sometimes the workforce boards, they do that and tell ex-employer, hey, I've got this really quality candidate. I've worked with them. They've taken some modules for employability skills. We think you should, look at that resume. It helps to fast track that. And a lot of people may not know that, that they have some amazing services like that, but they do exist. And I share with new graduates all the time, or hiring websites, Facebook groups I'm on. I share where they can really kind of navigate that to maybe be a little bit more efficient in finding really what they would like. And sometimes you do need a support of a career service professional to help streamline that and help maybe shorten that time that you might spend scavenging the internet. It is a great resource and lots of great tools, but they are very connected with a lot of the employers in a city or county.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. So I like to end these with a bonus question. And
Great.
The bonus question is, what is the toughest interview question you've ever gotten?
Oh, gosh. I think the toughest, I've been in kind of K-12, so it's going to depend on, what work environment you work in and who, the people that you serve or you're going to work with. I will say the hardest questions always came from the K-12 environment, because being a teacher is, I think, the hardest position I've ever had. Of all the different positions I've had and the career changes, I will still say being an educator is the hardest, most rewarding. I will still say that. And I absolutely loved it. But I was asked a question, why are students poor? That was a really tough one, because depending on where you work, if you're working in an urban population, it's a very difficult question. There may or may not be a right answer, and why a particular school or school districts ask that. I think they're really trying to get you to just think. So that was a tough one.
Nice, thank you. I have finished our 5 questions. So I want to say thank you for your time. We really appreciate the advice and the guidance, and getting able to hear your story is super fantastic. So thank you so much for your time. And I will say goodbye.
All right. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.